Good morning, everybody. This is Angie Oldenburg coming to you from Wisconsin. All right, I'm just looking at my phone to make sure I'm live. My computer says I am, but just like to double check. Hold on one second. Get to the right spot. Yes, okay, I'm here. So you have already seen this morning an example of heat embossing. So I'm going to show you the basics. Heat embossing is an old technique that has been around forever. It's the one that a lot of us kind of fell in love with paper crafting with, me included, and our founder, Shelley Gardner, always tells the story of that's what sold her. That was so magical to see the heat embossing and the embossing powder melt. So it's still a very cool technique, even though we don't, or I don't use it very often anymore because it is a little time consuming. It can be a little messy, and it's just not as quick as some of the other things that we have nowadays. So I'm just going to go over all the basics and then show you a sample card, and then actually I have a few samples, and you've already seen from Diane this morning. If you didn't get a chance to watch hers, she used another option for embossing, and I think Chrissy is also going to use embossing in her demonstration. So we've got a lot of options with embossing, and it really brings a lot of wow to your cards and your other projects. So I'm just going to show you what we have now for equipment, because it is a little hard to find in the catalog. It's There is actually a technique page. I'm going to show you here. It is page 126 in the annual catalog, and it goes through the steps. So that's where you can find all of the embossing powders, the Versamark, the craft ink, and the heat tool. But then it also says on the bottom to look online for the embossing additions toolkit. So I was going to show you that as well. So of course, one thing we need is a heat gun. Nice hot. This one that we have has two different settings. I always use the higher setting because it goes faster. Certainly, you want to make sure that you move it around, and we'll talk through that so that it doesn't burn your paper, because that can happen if you hold it in one spot too long. So let me set that aside while we're talking about the other things. You're going to need embossing powder. This is the brand that we currently have. It's Wow Embossing Powder. And we have it in several different, two different combinations. There is the basics, which has black, clear, and white, and then the metallics has copper, gold, and silver. And so that's how those come. And then you saw that if you watched Diane's presentation, that she used these little containers, and that's what I do too. I dump the whole thing into there. I have a plastic spoon that's in the inside, and you'll see how I do it. I just pour it over the top. All the mess stays right in there, and I don't need to be folding my paper and dumping my powder back and kind of getting it all over. It's been the best way that I can find that works, and then I just label my container with what color. So the main thing, let's go over this too. This is our toolkit that we currently have. And although this is a nice little tray and funnel, hold on, am I not being seen? I've got somebody asking if I'm coming on. So if anybody else is here, yep. Okay. I don't like the tray because it does get a little staticky. I think you can probably use the embossing buddy to make it, and it just seems messy to me. So I use the little plastic disposable lunch containers. But it comes with the tweezer, the reverse tweezer, and the little brush, which I do actually like the brush because it's a firm bristle brush. And then the embossing buddy, which we had that a long time ago, then it went away, and most of us were very upset that it went away, and now it's back. So, okay, ladies, thank you for telling me that I am online. So I'll show you kind of how that works too. And then the next important thing is that you have some type of ink or something that has stickiness to it. And unfortunately, the Versamark ink pad and I believe the refill are currently unavailable, and I've been reading that it's unavailable in other places too. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. So hopefully you have some in your stash. The other thing you can use is craft ink or any slower drying ink. So we have white craft ink yet, and so that could be used. I have seen people do embossing very, very quickly with just regular ink. You just have to be really fast. You stamp and you put your powder on like immediately to get it to stick, and then do your embossing. So it's just anything that will be tacky enough to hold that embossing powder in place until you can melt it. So I'm going to be using Versamark today. So those are the pieces of equipment that you need. Oh, I do have, oh, this is from yesterday when I was playing. So I do use a piece of paper because the card I'm going to make, I'm going to be a little messy. And all of my cards today, except for like one, I think, I had a few paper packs left over from a class, and I just started playing with those leftover paper packs to get different cards. So this is the card I'm going to make. And I'll just bring it up here. It's a kind of a shiny one. It's gold. This is this Friends for Life set. It's a current set that's in the annual catalog. I just hadn't used it in a while. So that's, excuse me, the set. And then it does have dies with it. Let me grab those quick. That has the 2 different layers of the word friend and the leaves, a couple different leaves and hearts. So it's a cute set. So that's the set I'm using for this card. So I'm going to do this background just because, and we'll do the greeting too, because a lot of times embossing is we do a greeting on the front of a card because it's, we want to do a black piece of paper and we have a white embossing powder, that sort of thing. So I'll show you how to do the greeting too. So we'll keep that up here. So for this background, actually, let me get I've got several piles on the side of my desk here. Get myself organized. This is the this beautiful yellow paper, and I always forget the name of it. Hold on. Floral Delights, I think. It's in the mini. Hold on, I got the page. Yes, Floral Delight. Absolutely love the colors. So springy. So this is the sheet of that I'm going to use on the front because I was running out of, I made so many samples and played so much that I ran out of my little card kits. And this is Lemon Lolly cardstock. And then Old Olive. And then a piece of the white ribbon. Let's see. Okay, so this is just a standard background size first layer of your card on the back, so whatever your measurements are. And then all I did is I took the Versamark ink pad and I inked it up because it was getting a little dry. And every one of these is going to turn out different. And I'll show you one that I did first, or a couple of them that I did. So all I did was, and the reason I have the paper is because I'm going to pull it across. And I just kind of was a little heavier handed on the one side and then let it lift it up as I went across. So I do this, and you're not going to really see how much ink you have on. It's going to be a mystery until we get the embossing powder on, so that can be a little bit nerve-wracking. And then I'm going to just kind of hold on to it, and I could use my little tweezer. And we'll see what we get when we put the embossing powder on. So I'm going to pull this in. You see how I make a mess here? It doesn't look like I have anything on there hardly at all. We'll see. Maybe I wasn't heavy-handed enough. I do have a sample that I did yesterday if this one doesn't turn out. So then you just pour this over the top. And make a nice big mess. Sometimes these techniques can be a little messy, but that's the fun part too, right? Just make sure that you cover everything that you got with the ink. So there's a lot more ink on there than what I thought when I saw it, and I need to maybe move my thumb and make sure I didn't miss this edge. Okay. And I always kind of do this just to get most of it back off and lay it back down. I am going to ink my greeting also so that we can heat emboss all at the same time. So when you use, the reason for the embossing buddy, if you don't know, so this background, it doesn't matter as much because I'm looking for the whole background to be embossed. But if you're looking for a clean embossing where you just want where you're inking to be embossed and you don't want any other little specks of embossing powder getting melted accidentally, that's when you use your embossing buddy to go over the piece of paper. It decreases that static, and then you'll just get the embossing powder where you want it. So this is thinking of you. I'm gonna fussy cut this out, so it doesn't really matter how straight it is. Again, bring my container in here. How's everybody doing this morning? I always like to flick it. I don't know. Maybe I flicked too hard on that one. Yeah, this one isn't going to matter too much because I am going to fussy cut it out. So if I have a little powder where it's not supposed to be, that's okay. But if you're doing more detailed work, you want to use that embossing buddy so that it doesn't get places that you don't want it. Okay. And so then I'm going to grab my heat tool. And this is going to be loud, and I apologize. But there's no other way around it. And I wish I could zoom a little bit, but my camera doesn't do that so that you could see. And then this is also where this tweezer comes in handy because it does get hot, and the paper will get hot, and you can burn your fingers very easily. So I just use it kind of to hold my paper in place, or I can completely lift it up. Actually, maybe I'll do that for the little piece. Embossing on the glass mat is perfectly fine and safe, and it's absolutely nice to protect your work surface. In the past, I will say I've maybe melted some things on I've got just a laminate or countertop desk. I maybe melted a little bit of that in my previous craft room. Don't tell my husband. He doesn't know, doesn't need to know. We've moved since, so haven't had that happen again. It was small, you know, it happens. Okay, so here we go. And you see the magic happening when it starts to melt. It's still so cool. Whoever came up with this pretty ingenious. So that's all the longer you need. I think you can see maybe that it's melted. Hard to tell on the camera. So, and then this piece, I'm just going to leave it down on the desk because it's so big. And it takes a little bit longer. So here we go. You want to keep moving your embossing tool because you, like I said before, you can burn paper if you hold it in one spot too long. The paper will also kind of curl if you hold it in one spot too long. Okay, sorry for the noise. Yeah, Maureen, I think if anyone has done any embossing, it kind of accidentally happens that you melt things. Oops. Okay, so then what I did for this card that I'm working on is I wanted this leaf to be gold, so I just cut it out of the background because it's going to be covered up by this layer of DSP. I'm going to show you this, how shiny that is. Love it, love it, love it, love it. So cool. And I did a sample already, so I wouldn't have to go to my other desk and do my emboss or cut and emboss to cut the oh gosh, words. So what I did was cut the leaves out of the background in the middle of the sheet of paper, and then, like I said, we're going to layer this right over the top, so it's not going to matter that the center section of your background is gone. So I already did that with this one. And so this came out of here. And you see this one, I got a little heavy-handed in the middle here, but that's okay. We can cover that up with the front piece. It's not a big deal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my layers together. I'm going to move this piece of paper. And for whatever reason, I do feel like there's some grit on the, even though I try to be gentle with the embossing powder, it seems to still fly a little bit. So I'm going to tack this, I can't remember if I put this up on dimensionals just to add a little bit of dimension. Yes, I never used to cut stuff out of the middle to gut the middle, but it makes sense. Why not? Especially now with paper prices increasing, it is going to be important to be frugal and use up what we have, and not waste layers. All right. Okay. And you see on this, so that's where I got a little heavy-handed. I don't know if you can see it very well. So right there, when that line goes through there, we're gonna just, kind of disguise that. So this is just a little piece of tape that ribbon. And I'm not really even being very particular about this. We've got paper going over the top of it, so I'm going to just tack it down. And then I did, when something is embossed, the tape doesn't stick very good to the embossed surface. So I do think I will use glue for this layer. Or dimensionals might work, or sticky strip, or sorry, Karen tape. Showing my age. How long I've been a demonstrator, coming up with that word, huh? Sticky strip. Okay, and then this one, I use glue dots on the back when I stuck it down, but you can also use just little dabs of glue. Whatever you have that's gonna get it to stick. You could also put an adhesive sheet on the back if you wanted to, or were so inclined. Tack that down. And then, like I said, I'm going to fussy cut this piece out, and I did that already just to save some time. Another piece that I did. And what the one thing about a greeting is you can move it around. So like this one I have on the bottom, but this one has this kind of weird little line where the embossing powder got a little heavy. So actually I'm going to put it in the middle just to cover that up. That's the nice part about this, is you can change it up to disguise things that you don't like about it. I wouldn't say it was a mistake, but it just isn't as attractive as the rest of the paper. So there we go. And then I used some gems. Let me grab them. These are, I don't remember the name, these are the Opal Rounds assortment from the annual catalog. So they're Daffodil Delight, Navy, and Clear. And so I think I just put some of the yellow Daffodil Delight ones on just to give it a little bit of kind of, let's see, a little bit of interest there. And that is my card for the day. I'll show you some other samples. If you have any questions about embossing, let me know. Yeah, gold is always fun, isn't it? I was going to do more backgrounds, but I ran out of time because I was doing other ideas. So here's one. This is also with that set and the best wishes words. This is embossed in black. So the other thing I was going to show, similar to how Diane did in her video just before mine, you can use anything that's sticky. So this stripe here is just a piece of Terran tape that I put down, peeled it back, put the embossing powder on the Terran tape, and then you got a straight line. You can do a grid pattern, obviously. You can do other like diagonal lines. You can do, yeah, so you can use anything that's sticky. You could use glue squiggles if you wanted to. So just, you would want it to be tacky, not wet, probably. So that's that one. This was the first one that I did with the similar card kit that I had available. So I just stamped friend and embossed it in white, and then cut it out with the die, with the larger of the two dies, so it has a layer of the green around. But that was cute. This one is where I embossed, embossed the leaves as a background. So I just stamped the leaves in kind of a haphazard design and embossed it with white embossing powder. Made a simple birthday card. And then this one was another one that because I wanted to do a background stamp and see how that turned out. So this is our dog background stamp, and I embossed it in clear. So this is Pebble Path cardstock embossed in clear, Um, and for the dog background, I thought that one turned out really cool because it just darkens everything up on the background. So those are some samples. Hope you learned a little bit or just was reminded a little bit of how embossing works, especially if you haven't done it in a while. It's still a fun technique. It's still something that we use, maybe just not as much because we've got other fun stuff to do. Um, and you can use it for a jumping off point of a lot of different techniques, like the one that Diane did earlier and the one that Chrissy is going to do in her presentation. So, all right, I think that's all I have. Hope you have a wonderful day. The next person that is up is Ginny, and she has a recorded video because she's off traveling. So her video will be up at the top of the hour, I believe. And then we've got 2 more live presentations after that. And as always, talk to the demonstrator who invited you to the group. And if you want to place an order, do it through them. And you can get the project sheet. All right, hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you next time.